There is no greater joy than becoming a parent, but it does come with a great deal of responsibility. While the day-to-day tasks of new parents can really be top of mind, new parents shouldn't forget their new financial responsibilities.
WAFF 48 Sean Dowling spoke to a financial expert about things to consider once you have kids.
I'm here with Marshall Clay from the Welch Group, and today we're talking about important financial planning items to consider once you have children. Now, Marshall, what are some of the things on that checklist?
Yeah, so last week, we talked about the important things as it pertains to newlyweds, and I think as your life continues to evolve, certainly when you have children, things get a little bit more complex. So I recommend, I have a little bit of a legal background as well, and the first thing that I would recommend people do is to execute a will. And I think when people hear will, they think money, but it's really a lot more than the money. And so the primary thing, particularly when you have kids, is establishing who the guardians are going to be in the event that there's a catastrophic accident. The second thing that I would think about, if there is no life insurance in place, get that life insurance in place. If something happens to the primary breadwinner, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to offset that loss of income so that your family can keep moving forward. It's a pretty catastrophic time. I've actually had some experience with a young spouse passing away, and fortunately they had the insurance in place, and it gave the surviving spouse the ability to grieve appropriately, and I think that's very important. And then one thing we've talked about in the past, or my colleagues have talked about in the past, is opening those 529 plan accounts early. So as soon as the child is born, put a little bit of money in those accounts. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just open those accounts, get those accounts open, get the clock running on that, because there's some longer term advantages to having those accounts open. And then last but not least is revisit your own investment and retirement plan. I tell people all the time, the best thing you can do to your kids is make sure that you're not dependent on them when you're older. Make sure that you have that nest egg, have that money available to take care of all of those expenses as you get into elderly age, so that you're not relying on them and being a drag on their life. So a lot of things to think about there. And I always tell people, and it's always a little bit in jest, but it's always a little bit serious, that none of this stuff matters until it matters, and then it's the only thing that matters, right? If you don't have these things in place, if you don't have the will, if you don't have the insurance, there's certain things that if you need them and they're not in place, then it becomes a very big problem. So establish that checklist as you have the kids. If you can break away from the feeding or diaper changes, do that and get these things in place.
Nice. Marshall Clay with the Welch Group. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.